Who's the master? 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 I think it's Frogz, Master 595. Yes, that's right. It's Frogz, Master 595. Hey everyone, this is Frogz, Master 595. And today I think we're going to do a video about problems with Frogz. Because as I've noticed now after getting these other Frogz this year and stuff like that, I have noticed that more problems are going to be starting to occur on these as we head into this 2020s decade. The roaring 20s, right? Yeah, we could probably call it that, especially because of what's going on right now. But let's talk about these, all right? Because more things are starting to happen. So the first thing that we should bring up is the first problem that came with these Frogz, which is, and I think everyone should know this, but if not, then you'll know it now, is the wire coming off of the ones that move like this, and sometimes these ones too. So this and Pondy Replay. And then very rarely one that moves like jump around, but that rarely happens. I think there's only one that I've seen where that's happened to. Maybe two. But this one, it can happen sometimes. But these two, it is a lot. I think this started happening really kind of since 2007, really. Because I had a Maybell in 2007. I don't know if it was my first or my second, but I remember it playing, and then the sound stopped, but it was still dancing. So the wire came off the speaker, and that was in 2007. So it had literally just came out then. Yeah, that's not good. And then, you got the ones that move like this. Same thing. I mean, it probably started happening around the same time. Maybe a little bit later, but we don't really know when the first one of these wire came off. But that was definitely an issue. That was the first issue that was happening with these, was just those wires coming off of either the battery contact or from the circuit board, which if it would happen from there, that would make it a lot harder. Not too hard, but harder than it coming off of the battery contact. And, that's the same for this. Well, with this one, it would probably be the speaker, more likely. But with these, it could be either of those two things I said. So any that move like this, it'll happen to. You get a Frogz now and it moves like this, there's a very good chance that the wire will come off of the speaker. Now maybe if you change something in there with the wires or put something in there to make wires longer or something like that, then it probably won't come off again. But I don't know if anyone's gonna do that, really. Only iFrogzy's done it, I think. But it's definitely gonna happen to you if you get one that moves like this. And same for this. These would be the most likely, because I've had quite a few of these that move like this that have had that happen to. It's actually happening to him, I think, right now, but he still kind of works. It's loose, I think. I think that's what's going on, because there can't be any other problem with him. It's got to be related with the wire. He does move fast. So Frogz, where it's happened to me, it's happened to Fuzzy Wannabe for me. It's happened to Redneck Woman when I had her still. And it's happened to Green Yeah. And it's happened to this Green Yeah. And it's probably happening to this Cha-Cha Slide. So that's 5 things, and they all move the same way. And this one
is very close to the wire coming off of the speaker. Very, very close. But thankfully, he does not move side to side at all. So he stays on right with the position that he's in. So that's good. That's very good. So I don't need him moving. Because when I turn him just a little bit, he goes off. And I don't want to keep doing that anymore. I'm not going to do it ever again. Because I don't want him... I don't want his sound going off. He's like my favorite Frogz pretty much, I think. But that would be the first problem. Those wires coming off the contact to the circuit board on ones that move like that or that. Now, problems that are starting to show up now, I think the next one would have probably been a lot more of these mouths starting to break on these. Now we know about the mouths breaking with that gear, where it makes the mouths like get kind of stuck, you know? If you know what I'm talking about, when like you'll pull down the mouth and it'll kind of make little tick noises when you try to move it, and it gets a little jammed and stuck, and it sounds like you're snapping it, but you're not really snapping anything. That sound, when you do that with the tongue, that's the gear being split. And that's been happening since really, I'd say 2008 or so. That probably started happening, maybe. I know it happened to 5 o'clock somewhere, and As Good As I Once Was pretty early. Those were BJV's, Frogz. That was 2 of them. But, yeah. But there's a new mouth problem that had started happening. And it's that other gear that splits. So, you see when I move his mouth, it seems like it's fine. Because that other gear is still good, but it's the bigger gear that is actually split. And that's the one where like the mouth makes the very loud buzzing noises, and it kind of like goes super fast and it jerks around. That's that other gear. Because this happened to him, and he had got fixed by Frogz, but then the mouth broke again, but it was making the really loud buzzing noises and it was jerking around. So it's that same bigger gear, just like him. That was probably the next problem that started happening, and I saw a Rapper's Delight Frog video where that happened, and I think another video. That's definitely happening more. Hopefully you knew what I meant when I was explaining those 2 gears, but I'm sure you do. Yeah, okay. Next problem, I think, would be the... maybe, I don't know. Maybe next would be the arms on these Frogz. A lot of them have started to either just snap, like on their own when they're turned on, or they're just splitting more now. I think probably more just starting to snap out of nowhere. It's just something with age, I think. I mean, they're in an interesting kind of position. How they're like kind of curved. The pieces are kind of curved like that. Some more than others. So that kind of does something eventually as years go on, I think. Of them just being in that same position all the time. But that's definitely a problem that started happening a lot more, I would say. It's happened to quite a few of mine, but I would say around 2015 that probably started happening. I'm sure it's happened to other people's Frogz. These arms are going to get a lot more broken on a lot of other Frogz, I think, here in this decade. Unless they're fixed. I mean, that's a completely different thing. You fix these up in a good way, and then you don't have to deal with this. But for any of you that don't fix them, yeah, you're going to be seeing some stuff. So, second to last Frogz problem, I think, would be the heads. The heads that either move forward and back or side to side. Now what's happening with these, not really that the gear is splitting. I mean, that does happen a couple times, but that's not really became too much of an issue yet. The thing that's became much more of an issue is the wires have been starting to come off these heads. This has happened, well, it's been happening since about 2015, 2016, I think. It happened to him. The wire came off his head. It happened to this Pink Get the Party Started. It will probably happen to It's Christmas Time, I'm sure, because his head is really fast. Happened to him on his head. I know a wire is off because he doesn't buzz when he's on. So, wire's off his head. The wire's off that one's head. That happened the day I got her. This one's head, wire was off, I think, when it did work, and it sounded really bad. That one's head wire could come off. This one's head wire, I'm sure will. But his head's also really splitting, so I don't know what'll happen first, but his head moves really fast. But yeah, we got that problem. But there's probably one last thing. One last problem that's been starting to happen with these, I think. Probably the newest one, and I think that would be jump around mechanisms. They're getting really bad, it seems. In like 2013, 2014, and 15, they all seem to be working good still. This one was still working good. And I know he was used a lot by BJB, but he was still working good. Then eventually, things were just starting to happen. In like late 2017, his gear split, and that completely stopped him. And then this blue one that I got close to a year ago now, his gear is completely split. I've seen many more videos with them on split gears now. I'd say maybe 6 videos. I think about 6. But it's been happening a lot more. I've also been starting to hear noises coming from him that I've not heard before. That probably has something to do with it, but he still works good. He works good. He's not jumping around, but same mechanism. He still works good, but he has been making noises for a while. I think he's going to split soon. That's probably the newest problem, are these jump around mechanisms, but that's all the frog problems for right now. I'll probably make another video if new ones start happening, but I just said some ones that have really been starting to happen. And, well, that's it. Those are the Frogz problems. Hope you liked listening to frog problems from Frog Boys. Fun. Okay. Peace.